A lot of news has come out of Friday Night SmackDown, but let's first talk about the main event segment, where you had Cody showing up, Jey Uso, John Cena, Logan Paul, which is cool to see all four guys in the ring setting up their match, their tag team match for Money in the Bank. What did you think of this? To me, it was fine. It was a lot of Cody talking. Then we had the Jey Uso entrance, which I actually scrubbed through on Netflix. And I was like, this thing is like 4 minutes because he did the rewind thing to then set up that John Cena came out. I felt like it was long and it was just very talky. Logan Paul talked a lot and like, sure, he did his thing and did his job as a heel. But man, I don't know. This didn't do too much for me to get me hyped up for this tag team match. It didn't leave a lot of intrigue. I feel like it's just kind of there because there's no stakes. That's probably the feeling I have is like, well, it's not John versus, Jey Uso, champion versus champion. It's not Cody getting a rematch yet. I understand we're kind of saving things here for when they inevitably do the one-on-one match, and it's good for John Cena to get like a heater with him and Logan Paul. They even had like, what I did like though was they had a little moment towards the end where Cena and Logan Paul shove each other so they're not on the same page. This could result in them losing at Money in the Bank, but you never know. Like if they're gonna have it where Logan Paul eats the pin, then it could totally work where Jey and Cody stand tall. You may want that as well if Jey is gonna lose the title after Money in the Bank, because we have the Gunther match set up. If Cody and Jey win that tag team match, then maybe it just gives more ammunition for Cody to say, hey Cena, I now get my one-on-one match with you. We shall see. But yeah, just a very talky segment, But they did have some good stuff on SmackDown. I want to talk about just a couple of things there, and then some news items that came out of everything. The first highlight for me, Naomi. So Bianca kicked off the show. She's got the busted up finger, but it sounds like she's gonna be back pretty soon. She came out to address her hometown crowd, which was great. And then having her and Naomi in the ring, I love this because this goes back to just, a couple of months ago where they were in the ring and they had a really killer promo where it was about the turn and Naomi did it to Jade. And revisiting that was kind of cool. And I like where they're going to be heading, potentially going with this. Because once Bianca gets back, I totally see them doing that Bianca Naomi story one-on-one. Like, they have such good chemistry. I can't wait to see what they're going to do, and that could be the SummerSlam match. But out of the qualifying match that we got of Jade, Naomi, and Nia Jax, this was a really fun match. Naomi ends up picking up the win. I think that this was the right decision. I called it here. Just suck on that. But I just like that Naomi did win because she's somebody that I can really see getting Money in the Bank and winning the belt. Tiffany Stratton is kind of in the background right now because there's a lot of different players on SmackDown that could go for the belt. And that would be a little bit exciting to see if they change things up. Naomi went backstage and had a moment with Tiffany Stratton. I like that Naomi was talking about how she broke into Bianca's house. So she's kind of got, I know she's got the proceed with caution, crazy girl thing, but she's also kind of got like the stalker gimmick going. Little Mickey James in there with Trish. That's really cool. It's really working. I think that Naomi will be a standout in this. There's a lot of good picks for Money in the Bank on the women's side. Just don't know. I just really feel like they could go with Naomi for this. The other qualifying match that we did get on SmackDown was on the men's side. You had Jacob Fatu, US champion. You had Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. Great match. Saw some interference from Solo and Jeff Cobb, JC Mateo. Still can't wrap my head around that name. But nonetheless, you did have them getting involved and they cost Jacob Fatu his Money in the Bank spot. Andrade actually picked up the win. I don't know if I like that. I'm glad Andrade is in Money in the Bank, but I kind of feel like Carmelo Hayes would have been a better pick to really get him to, start to elevate, see what he can do as he gets in there. So Andrade is not going to win Money in the Bank, nor would Carmelo Hayes, but I just feel like Carmelo would have been a better spot, more unique, that he can kind of build himself up with The Miz, and maybe The Miz turns on him, or maybe they're just going to go and spin those guys off into tag team division, which they haven't done yet, and I really hope that they do get Carmelo and Miz doing a little bit more, because right now it is still about Miz cheerleading Carmelo to build him up, but he lost. So we got Andrade. He's qualified for Money in the Bank. Now there's going to be one more spot for Money in the Bank on the women's side and the men's side. WWE announced a couple of different things here, which is pretty interesting for Money in the Bank. So on the men's side, we're going to have a qualifying match on Raw where it's going to be Punk, El Grande, Americano, and AJ Styles. A very unique combination there, I gotta say. Now, is that a foregone conclusion that CM Punk gets into Money in the Bank? Maybe. But number one, I think that's going to be a killer match regardless. We don't get a lot of CM Punk matches on Raw. El Grande, as much as I want Chad Gable, El Grande Americano, both of them to get into Money in the Bank, because I think that they earned it, and frankly, I want to see El Grande Americano as world champion and Chad Gable as a champion. I think that they're going to be wrapped up into everything lucha related and AAA and trying to boost that. I don't see El Grande Americano picking up the victory there to qualify, although I think he would be stellar in the Money in the Bank match. AJ Styles would be kind of out of nowhere. Not that I'm against it. I'd love to see AJ, and I'd love to see AJ get the briefcase, but there is no story there. He's been so wrapped up into kind of the mid card to lower mid card that's out of nowhere. Punk is like kind of the obvious pick here, but is it too obvious that you put CM Punk in Money in the Bank? Should he get screwed over by Seth and his guys to keep him out of Money in the Bank? You could do that, and then you'd see El Grande maybe get in there, and that would be a lot of fun. If Punk gets screwed out of Money in the Bank, then you do further that story a lot more, right? But if Punk gets in there, then you really are having, to me, you got like two choices. You got Seth or Punk to win Money in the Bank and get that briefcase. Because I don't see anybody else picking it up that's qualified. I just don't. I don't think there's enough story there. I just think that Seth is kind of the shoo-in for this. So if Punk gets screwed out of it, then you got a future story of Punk and Seth and continuing that. If Punk gets in there, I mean, that's dangerous for the old guy because his bones are going to be a little brittle. He's going through ladders and falling off of them. I don't know if they're going to have Punk in that match, but it'd be cool for me as a Punk fan to see him pick up a third Money in the Bank briefcase and be a 3-time winner. I just don't know if they want to go down that path of him holding Money in the Bank. It kind of feels like Punk can shoot his shot and not have to qualify for that. I don't know. But I am really going to be loving to see that match happen. The other one is going to be on the women's side. This is where it gets interesting. So we have Liv Morgan. This is announced on social. Liv Morgan versus Ivy Nile versus the newest draft person drafted to Monday Night Raw, Stephanie Vaquer. So they're going to be in a qualifying match. Let's back up here for a second. They had Stephanie Vaquer lose the NXT Women's Championship on NXT TV to Jacy Jayne, which felt so rushed, so random. And why wouldn't they have done it with Jordynne Grace when they had it at the last show, the last big NXT show? Why wouldn't they have Jordynne Grace pick up the title there? Because that was a great match. If you rewatch it, I think that was a lot of fun. And you could have shocked everybody by giving it to Jordynne Grace, and then Stephanie Vaquer moves over to Raw. Instead, it seems very hotshot last minute that they're like, we're calling her up and we're bringing Stephanie to Raw. Hey, it's great that she's going to be on Raw. She totally fits there. I'm like, you could have told that story maybe a little bit better. The other piece for me, and I don't know about how you guys feel, but I wish that they would do better job of announcing people when they're drafted. And we'll talk about the draft in a second. I wish that they would do a better job of these announcements. I don't care that it's like Adam Pearce is jogging in a forest and he's gonna say, hey, by the way, Stephanie's drafted to Raw. Okay, see ya. Or Julia is coming out of the dressing room on SmackDown. She just pops out and she's like, yeah, I'm on SmackDown now. I wish that there was more fanfare, because then it makes things feel like a bigger deal. Maybe they don't do that because they worry that if they do put a big reveal video package thing together, maybe it makes people feel like they're gonna get a giant push when they don't necessarily know the full direction and where they're going to kind of level out to. But I just wish they put more behind it. Stephanie's huge in NXT. That is a big, big deal. And I feel like they could have done way better job of, instead of just saying, hey, yeah, she's coming up to Raw, like make it a surprise announcement on Raw. Make Adam Pearce come out and say, like, we got the newest member of the Raw roster. Do a video package showing how dominant she is, because we have seen her on Raw, yes, and she's already completely over with the crowd. Build more of that background and that hype for fans who maybe are not familiar with her, so that they get a taste of what she's all about and introduce her somehow. I just didn't like that. So we're gonna get the women's triple threat. How are they gonna do this? Is it Liv or is it Stephanie Vaquer? If it's not Stephanie, then what's kind of the point? But on the other hand, like, of bringing her up and putting her in the qualifying match, you're gonna give her a protected loss on kind of like her first big match. Also, yeah, Julia, she won the qualifying match over there. Roxanne, new to the roster, she won her qualifying match. So you could see where I'm like, okay, they got all these new NXT stars that are now on the main roster. They've made it into qualifying matches. Do you want Stephanie in there because she can get showcased really well? But if she loses the qualifying match, then what is she doing? Like, is she gonna just be shot around and go for the world title? Probably not. I don't know who else she would face right now in kind of like a side story. So she should kind of win that match. But on the other hand, you have Liv Morgan. And if Liv wins and gets into the qualifying match, then she's got all that tension with Roxanne. And that's kind of cool right now. And that's a good story to have. You have Liv, who's won Money in the Bank in the past. I think that that is pretty interesting. Like, if it wasn't Stephanie, they used somebody else as, you know, in that qualifying match, that could have really worked. Now I'm perplexed. I don't know who you win. I think you got both shots. So I don't know. I don't have a winner to pick for that, but I'm intrigued. I'm glad she's on the roster. I just wish they would do a better job with when they're bringing their call-ups in. But I mean, other things on SmackDown, the Wyatt Six are heating up in the tag division, which is odd and good too, but are they gonna be winning matches, winning feuds? I don't know. A lot of build around AAA. Javon Evans got into the tag team match with Rey Fenix. Great match, and awesome to see Javon Evans on SmackDown. Like, that's a big moment for that guy, and he's killing it in NXT. So I feel like that's kind of testing the waters for Javon Evans to see how he does on main roster TV. And it's like what they've been doing right now. It seems to be their formula for all these NXT stars is get them on Raw and SmackDown a little bit and see how they kind of slide into place, and do they fit, and what's the crowd reaction. So I hope Javon Evans gets called up in the next like couple of months. That'd be sweet. Now, I mentioned the draft earlier. What do you think is going to happen there? I personally think that they are just going to scrap it. I know there's rumors of the draft, and we have all of these different names that are getting called up, like Stephanie, Julia did, Ricky Starks, Ricky Saints is also rumored to get called up. We had Ethan Page showing up on SmackDown on commentary as well during the Javon Evans match. I wonder, are they really going to do a draft this year, or are they going to can the whole thing? Because I feel like they got kind of all the pieces in place right now. I actually think, as much as I love a good draft, not a bad draft, a good draft, I do feel like a draft muddies the waters right now, do you? Because they have all of these storylines rolling in place, kind of getting towards SummerSlam. If you do a draft, I mean, a lot of pieces have to stay in place, so then you kind of, for the storylines, like Seth and his group, and Punk and Sammy and Jay, like, you feel like most of their top talent need to stay where they are. What are you gonna do? Draft Cody and Cena to Raw to then just move Seth and everybody to SmackDown? Maybe it would help SmackDown a little bit. It does feel like they're just taking a different approach in terms of, okay, let's just call up the NXT people we have. Let's just get them into the storylines we want, instead of having to maybe build an entire draft. Could some people get traded and move around, or should be moved around? I think so, because I think some people get a little stale on their brand, and you want different matchups and feuds going. But the SmackDown tag division, for example, with Fraxium and Motor City Machine Guns and everybody, and the Street Profits, that's all working pretty well. I mean, great if you could bring in another team, but you got DIY with Candice now. They're doing a lot of stuff that you don't really want to break all of that. So I can see why a draft wouldn't make all the sense in the world right now. Maybe they just want to hold off on it, but maybe they're just not going to do it. What do you think? And maybe they go to approach of like this, where it's, okay, we're just going to call up NXT people, and when we need to, let's just announce a trade. Because then it's just somebody showing up in Nick Aldis's office, and he's like, AJ Styles is now on SmackDown or something. They don't have to make a big fanfare out of it. I'm a sucker for a draft. I love being able to go through and be like, hey, they should move these pieces. But I do think that they have a lot of stories going on right now where a draft would actually interfere with that and maybe put them in a worse place than they're at. What did you think of SmackDown? What do you think of the qualifying matches? Subscribe to the channel if you guys can. We are trying to hit 50,000 subs this summer. It's a big goal, but here we are anyways. And if you want, click this video right here, because we're talking about Roman Reigns and his return, possible return, all the teases and the hints for it. Have a great day. See ya.